Errors category. Wave errors category highlights the most critical accessibility issues that need to be addressed. Errors indicate elements that fail to meet accessibility standards and can significantly impact the web page's usability for people with disabilities. Examples include missing alternative text, meaning lack of alt attribute, missing form label, empty heading, empty link, broken ARIA reference, empty form label, spacer image missing alternative text. Wave identifies structural errors that can create barriers for users who rely on assistive technologies. Understanding these errors is crucial for making websites accessible to all users. Let's review 3 common accessibility errors that Wave highlights. Missing alternative text errors example 1 of 3. In a Wave report, missing alternative text alt attribute refers to the absence of descriptive text for an image or other non-text content on a web page. This descriptive text is known as alt text or alternative text, which is crucial for accessibility because it provides a textual alternative to visual content for users who are blind or have low vision and rely on screen readers to access web content. Why this matters? Each image must have an alt attribute. Without alternative text, the content of an image will not be available to screen reader and sighted users when the image is unavailable. Missing alternative text is not only a violation of Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, for informative non-text content, but it also significantly impacts SEO, search engine optimization. This underscores the crucial role of alternative text in both accessibility and search engine visibility. How to fix it? Add an alt attribute to the image. The attribute value should accurately and succinctly present the content and function of the image. If the content of the image is conveyed in the context or surroundings of the image, or if the image does not convey content or have a function, it should be given null alternative text, alt empty quote. Best practices for developing images alternative text. Imagine describing the illustration over the phone to someone who needs to understand the image's context entirely. Aim to put the most important information at the beginning. As for any text, using punctuation in the text alternative makes the information easier to understand. Remember to add space characters and periods. Keep the image's alternative text less than 120 characters, including spaces and punctuations, while they are concise and informative. Alternative text should clearly describe the content and purpose of the image. For example, a smiling woman holding a cup of coffee is more helpful than just woman for the opposite picture. Consider the context in which the image is used. The alt text should reflect the image's role on the web page. If an image is purely decorative and does not convey any information, it should have an empty alt attribute, alt equal to empty string, to indicate that the image can be ignored by assistive technologies. As it was mentioned, addressing missing alternative text is essential for making web content more inclusive and accessible to everyone. Missing form label errors example, 2 of 3. In a Wave report, missing form label refers to the absence of a label for a form input field, such as a text box, checkbox, radio button, or drop-down menu. Form labels are essential because they provide a clear description of the purpose of each form field, which is crucial for users who rely on screen readers or other assistive technologies to navigate and interact with web forms. Why it matters. When a form control does not have an adequately associated text label, the function or purpose of that form control may not be presented to screen reader users. When a form control does not have an adequately associated text label, the function or purpose of that form control may not be presented to screen reader users, which is not only a violation of Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, Success Criterion 1.1.1, non-text content, Level A, but also a failure of the Success Criterion 1.3.1, Info and Relationships, Level A, requirements. How to fix it. Missing forms should be addressed by any of the labeling association methods, such as using label tag, ARIA label, or ARIA labeled by. If a text label for a form control is visible, use the label element to associate it with its respective form control. If there is no visible label, either provide an associated label, add a descriptive title attribute to the form control, or reference the label using ARIA labeled by. Labels are not required for image, submit, reset, button, or hidden form controls. As mentioned, form labels provide context for each form field, helping all users, especially those with disabilities, to better understand the required information. Form labels play a crucial role in guiding users when they click or tab into a form field. They indicate what content or input is expected, providing a clear path and making the form easier to navigate and interact with. Best practices for developing form labels. Labels should clearly describe the purpose of the form field, and vague labels like "enter here" or "this field is required" should be avoided. Use consistent labeling conventions throughout forms, since consistency improves usability. Place the form label directly before or above the input field. This ensures users can easily associate the label with its corresponding field. If visible labels are not feasible, for example, in a compact design on tablets, phones, and wearable devices, use hidden labels with CSS, but make sure they are still accessible to screen readers adjacent to their associated form control. The HTML placeholder attribute is not a label replacement because it disappears when the user starts typing, making it challenging for users to recall the expected input. Always pair placeholder text with a visible label. By following these best practices, you can ensure that your forms are accessible and user-friendly, providing a better experience for all users, including those with disabilities. Empty heading errors example 3 of 3. In a wave report, an empty heading error occurs when a heading element, such as H1, H2, or H3 element, is present in the HTML structure, but does not contain any text or content. Headings are crucial for structuring content on a web page. They help users, particularly those using screen readers, navigate through the content by providing a clear outline of the page structure. An empty heading can confuse screen reader users because the screen reader will announce the presence of a heading, but with no content to describe. Even though an empty heading may not be visible to sighted users, it still exists in the page's code and can disrupt the logical flow of the document, affecting users who rely on assistive technologies. An empty heading might be left in the code accidentally, perhaps as a placeholder, to create empty spaces. When headings are empty or not filled up with adequately descriptive text content, this is not only violating the Content Accessibility Guidelines, WCAG, Success Criterion 1.3.1, Info and Relationships Level A, and 2.4.6. Headings and labels level AA requirements, but also is a failure of the Success Criterion 2.4.1 bypass block level A guidelines.